You guys for having this big town committee. I will tell you, my personal feelings are that the town committee is where it's at. And I can tell you, as somebody who has been campaigning actively for 2.5 years, I have been to a lot of committees and very few of them in towns. I've been to mostly county committees. And one of my favorite ones was my very first meeting a couple of years ago. I was at the Waldoboro town committee, and I walked in, and there were only probably 12 people, something like that, 12, 13 people. But they had a plan, and they actively fundraised. They knew exactly. Actually, they talked about two different fundraisers while I was there that night, and they told me that night. They said, we've already flipped the select board for the town of Waldoboro. Again, you're getting close to the coast with Waldoboro. And they said, and we've flipped 2 chairs in the school board. We're working to take a majority. Since then, I've had multiple, I've been there several times, and they have flipped the school board. And so the town, the greater Waldoboro area now has a conservative school board. Now they're concerned they might lose it, and they're just going to continue. But what they're doing is they're looking and saying, hey, what spots do we have open? Who do we know that could do that? We're fundraising, and we're gonna help them campaign, and they get these local seats filled. So remind me a lot of what you guys are doing, but just keep going. I love what you're doing. So let me transition a little bit to the governor's stuff. Did you know that it's anticipated that housing prices in Maine are 20% higher because of unnecessary regulations? And then, I know, he's shocked back there, right? And then we wonder, again, I have a 17, 19, and 21-year-old living in my basement. So this is, hits my heart. Let's get him out. Let's get him going. I'm invested in this. We wonder why we have that housing crisis and why apartments are so crazy. And then, did you also know that, let's say you wanted to start a medical business in the state of Maine, and to start this medical business, okay, let's say you're going to start your own doctors or you're going to do an x-ray office, you have to go to the state to ask them permission to be able to do that. I'm like, in what world should we have to ask our government for permission to start a business? But it gets worse. On top of that, the state will then take what's called a certificate of need, and they will go to the community, including your competitors in that business, and say, hey, is there a need for this? Well, your fellow, the other hospitals, the other medical places, they go, no, we got this covered. Okay, no, sorry, you can't do that. Again, so I bring this up because we have hundreds and hundreds of absolutely ridiculous laws on the books in Augusta that are holding our economy back. They're pushing businesses out of the state. They're harming our families, and we have to get on this. We need our next governor to go in and not necessarily sign thousands of bills into law, right? Maybe thousands of vetoes, but not only that, we need our next governor to go in and repeal, because again, our government has grown so big and so powerful that it is just eating everything up and hurting our economy in the state. And so I will be that governor. I'm the small government governor, and to me, we just need to put the power back in the people and empower the businesses to push our economy. And so on top of that, day one, to help me with that, I'm going to create a Doge. This is going to be a temporary Department of Government Efficiency. Okay, I say temporary because I hate bureaucracy, but I think you can do that. You can have this temporary department that goes for about 2-3 years probably, and they look for things that they can streamline, right? Processes to streamline and red tape to get rid of. Look for these terrible regulations that are holding us back, and then look for the fraud that we know is there, and they are in charge of getting it to us so we can do something and take action on that. And so the other thing I want to do is we're going to cut $2 billion from the budget. It sounds like a lot, but the reality is it's gone up by $4.4 billion since Janet Mills has taken over. And so we need to cut $2 billion. We need to get that back to you and I in the form of tax relief. And personally, I want to see that go into property taxes. I want to take that $2 billion and increase the homestead exemption from $25,000 to $300,000 on primary residence for Maine residents. Because quite honestly, I'm against property tax altogether. Because it literally is like you're renting your property taxes, your property from the government, and you don't own it if they can take it from you. So ultimately, getting rid of property tax is my end goal, but you can't do that right off the beginning when you're creating the budget in your first month, and so we have to get there, and this is kind of the way to pave that road. So the other big piece that I want to talk about, and I won't take a lot of time on it, but because I want to give you some time for questions, is education. We are failing our kids. I don't know if you've heard these stats, but 74% of our fourth graders are not proficient at reading. This is in 2024. Again, 3 out of 4 are not proficient at reading. Math isn't much better. 67% of our fourth graders are not proficient at math. And so ultimately what we have to do, there's a lot of things that we need to do with schools. We need to really reform them. We need to bring in school choice. I am not a fan of your traditional voucher system. And so I want to do it with a tax credit system because I'm not a fan of the voucher system because government money always has strings attached to it. And so we have homeschooled all 3 of our kids, and I don't think I would take that money because of the strings. And so if we go with a tax credit, you're not taking money from the government. You are just not giving the government your money. And so I want to go that route. The other thing we need to do is we need to get Augusta micromanages our schools right now. I don't know if you've done it. I go to the school board meetings and it's like, so why is this so expensive? Why is, and you look at your administration costs and you're looking at all that, and the students' numbers are dropping. And so the answer is always to point to Augusta. Well, they require us to do this. Oh, they mandate this. They make us do that. We need to get Augusta out of our schools and allow our districts to have the power and responsibility to run their own business and to do it well. And Augusta says, hey, here's what it means to graduate in the state of Maine. And it doesn't matter whether you do that homeschooling, private school, charter school, micro school, public school, doesn't matter. Because it shouldn't matter, right? If our goal is to get our kids ready for the real world, why do we care what school they go to? Why do we care what school they get that done in? And so ultimately, that's where I'm going with education. And again, I'm a businessman. I guess I kind of skipped that part. I live over in South Paris, so we're practically neighbors. And I was a selectman for 4 years. I lived there with my wife, Christy, and 3 kids. And I've been in business management, have an MBA in retail specifically for the last 20 years. So it's a little bit about me. Any questions?
Am I supposed to be talking to a mic?
Yeah, that's right.
I have a fancy mic for you.
It's the talking stick.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay. So since you brought up education, and
Yeah.
you know that I am a school committee member, one of the biggest problems that we're facing right now in our school district, and because it's budget season, we're hearing from all the administrators from every single one of our schools, especially in our elementary schools. We keep hearing over and over that we are getting students that just are not ready to be in school yet. They are not ready to learn. We have pre-K, kindergarten, first, second graders who are not potty trained yet, but state law says that we have to take them. And so we are spending additional money in our budget, caring for these children as if we are their parents. So I'm just wondering, as governor, what would you do to sort of fix this dynamic of everybody needs to, start school whenever the parents say they have to start school? Is there anything that you can do to kind of clear this situation up? Because we shouldn't have, in my opinion, we shouldn't have children who aren't potty trained
Right.
in school.
Yeah, that's the first time I've heard that one. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
welcome to Lewiston.
I'll get to your question. I will also say that my wife is on the school board for Oxford Hills, and they actually just talked about having, bringing in 0 to 3 right there in the school.
Yeah, we are
And to again, I'm like, why is the state raising kids, right? Shouldn't this be
We
the
also have
question?
CDS saying that we need to start taking children as young as 3.
But ultimately, I think with your question, right, without diving in and doing a deep dive to figure that out, it really sounds, again, like Augusta is mandating and requiring. It's just one of the many, many requirements that Augusta is putting on the schools. And I don't believe they should be doing many of those at all, right? Because again, the school can go and make that decision and work with the parents and figure out, okay, hey, work on this, this, and this, and we can accept this kid in 4 months or whatever. But if Augusta's saying you must do this,
Yeah, so it's fair to say
Then
it's a
it-
mandate that you would try to
correct?
fix.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have one more question,
Yeah.
if that's okay.
Yeah.
If you're paying attention at all to Lewiston, which I know you are, you know that we are flooded with home health care businesses, very questionable businesses. But we also have a lot of group homes that have moved into Lewiston. And what's happening is they are eating up our real estate and they're making it impossible. Like the American dream is gone for your children that are 19, 21, 17. I'm in the same boat with my kids. I do not know how they're going to purchase a house and leave home because our real estate's being eaten up by these group homes and these home health care services. So what can you do as governor to try to clean that mess up?
Yeah, so that one certainly hits close to home. I don't know if any of you know, I did a ride-along with the Main Wire and visited some of these, and it was a wonderful front lines experience just to be able to see and interact with them. And really, there's multiple things going on. Number one, yes, they're using those buildings, right? But number two, I can tell you from the places that we visited, they seem to be legitimately there taking care, this particular one, legitimately there taking care of somebody. But they did a horrible job in this, again, this first one we went to. And so I look at it and say, in the very least, we as a state are not watching our tax dollars and where it's going because we're buying services that are just not acceptable. The other part, there was a building we walked into that had 4 home health cares. Again, a whole, section of a building anyway that was being taken, literally not open in the middle of a workday, not open, had their business hours. They were supposed to be open, they were not open. And so again, we need to figure out, what is their legitimacy in many of these. I believe many probably do not have legitimacy. And so we need to put things in place that make it so we can hold ourselves accountable, hold our vendors accountable from the government position. Ultimately, again, I come from the business world, and in the business world, you set expectations, you communicate it accurately and effectively, and then you follow up and you make sure, hey, is this happening? Are we doing what we said we were doing? Are we accomplishing our goal and our purpose with this? And DHHS is hands down the worst department for that in our state, which includes all of this, right? And so for DHHS specifically, need to get rid of Sarah Gagne Holmes on day one and replace her with an effective leader, probably not from within DHHS, because the entire culture that has been created over the years is toxic and full of retaliation. So the other piece that plays into housing is, quite honestly, it's a supply-demand problem. It's not just Lewiston. It's a supply-demand problem, and part of the demand is we have a bunch of illegal immigrants here who we are giving free housing to.
Right.
And so we need to stop that. We can't be doing that. And by doing that, you will be freeing up some supply. And then we also need to fix the supply part. Again, I've talked to builders all over the state, and there's so many regulations and time-consuming aspects that, again, we tie the hands of our builders and our businessmen. And so just streamlining some of that and making it so that process can happen, 4 times faster, will create more supply for housing as well, and get our kids out of our basement.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can I have the special state?
1 second. Yep.
My question is, I'm former city councilor in Auburn, and you said your tax reform would be property taxes, but that's gonna choke the cities.
Yeah.
And as opposed
Well,
to
no, but yeah.
income tax, well, the primary income that comes into the cities
Agreed.
is property
Yeah.
tax. So I personally am thinking, we wanna choke Augusta, we should be getting rid of the income tax.
So,
Not that I'm in favor
No.
of property tax, but
thank
that's
you
so.
thank you for bringing it up. And I can tell you, I've been going back and forth for the last 3 years, figuring out, because I don't like any tax. Do I want to go, get rid of income or property? And so the reason I'm doing the property tax the way I am, I was a selectman for 4 years, so I know exactly where you're going with it. And ultimately, I decided on property, but the reality of the situation is that I want to. This is a Band-Aid. Doing the homestead exemption is a Band-Aid until the legislature and I can figure out how do we continue to fund our towns and our schools while not having property tax.
The problem is the cities, if you defund the cities, they're gonna collapse in 1 year.
You're not going to defund the
Well, if
cities,
they don't have property tax.
but you have the homestead exemption. So basically, what the city receives for property tax is not going to change with the Band-Aid. So your homestead exemption, the state is that $2 billion I cut
That goes
is
to the
going
state?
is going to the towns.
Okay.
So the people still don't pay. They don't pay that tax. The state cut that money and gives it to the cities
Okay.
in the homestead exemption. It's the same thing that's going on now with 25,000.
Right.
We're just boosting it significantly. And so as far as the city goes, you would continue to receive what you're getting. It's just a good chunk of it is coming from the state
State
instead of the people. Yeah. Thank you. He's bringing your fancy stick.
Is that what happens now with the homestead exemption?
Yes,
The
the
state
25,000. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
How would you handle Maine being a sanctuary state?
We need to stop it.
What
we
would you
absolutely
do?
need to stop it. Number one, just need to, as a governor, I don't believe that's constitutional. And so just say, hey, state entities, law enforcement, go at it, and then we'll fight it in court because I believe we'll find that that is not constitutional. And the same goes for any municipalities as well. The reality is Portland, right? They may not have the official title of sanctuary city, but they do everything a sanctuary city does. Well, if you have that much money that you don't, that you can do that, then I guess you don't need state funding either. So,
Yeah, thank you.
yeah.
Who gets the magic stick?
You go, young lady.
Thank you. As a newly school board member, I also wanted to ask about education. So when I graduated from EL, the Auburn High School, it was 24 credits to graduate. Since the past 3 years, they've lowered that requirement to only 20, and then the state requirement is only 11. So I was wondering what you were going to do about the 11 credit diploma.
That's why we have a high graduation
About the
rate.
what?
The 11 credit diploma, which is the state diploma
Yeah.
that you can get, as opposed to even 20. And the 11 is the lowest in the country, so.
Yeah. No, I think we need to make it competitive. Again, I think we need to, in education, we need to set the bar from Augusta and say this is what it looks like to, to graduate. They can go over that, like you guys are, right? But I think that bar needs to be at a reasonable level where, again, when they graduate with this bar, they can live life, they can be effective. I hire these people, right? I had somebody who couldn't write, and she's like, "Well, no, you have to just." I write it the way it sounds. I'm like, "Well, that's not English, right?" Like and so we have to set that bar higher, but then we have to allow the schools to be able to continue to move that bar if they want to higher. So.
I guess just sorry to piggyback off of that. It feels like the No Child Left Behind, because I work at the high school and I have the students that literally are seniors that have 10 credits that have been there the entire 4 years and they'll graduate. But they don't know how to do anything. And yet the school will graduate them, count it in as their 94, 5, 6% graduation rate so that they can get their state funding. But how do you fix that?
So I think the big chunk that is missing right now with what you're talking about, because our school does the same thing and they just move numbers, right, to make it look better. I've talked to plenty of people who, again, they got rid of, the letter D, so that way, people, go from F to C, and look, our percents went up, right? And so ultimately, I think the biggest piece that is missing is that school choice competition. Our schools are a monopoly right now, our public schools, right? And so any monopoly, they give a subpar product, it costs a lot, and they don't care what you have to say about it.
Right.
And that's our public schools right now, because what are you going to do? And so if you have that school choice in there where you go, you know what, this school over here or this over here, this option, I'm going to do that because they're performing. Enough people leave and your public schools are going to go, so why are you leaving? Oh, well, we should probably do that, right? Like, again, they're going to make themselves do better. And if you can get the government from, monkeying with everything, then they have that ability and autonomy to do that as well. But it's really ultimately, in my opinion, the missing ingredient right now is that competition, because they just, you're not happy? Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, we got a bunch of kids from Lewiston coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as well as like changing, maybe rewarding the graduation rates as opposed to let's reward, hey, our kids can read.
Right.
Like our kids can do math. Our standardized testings are showing that our kids can actually read, whether or not the graduation rate's at 100% and they're leaving and they can't read,
Yeah. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Especially again the graduation rate. Those are numbers you can fudge, right? Again, they just. I was talking to somebody who I respect a great deal. Was a former teacher, left because of all this. Years and years was a science teacher, and he was teaching a senior required science course. And he's like, the kid showed up, first day of class, never saw him again the rest of the year. I'm like, did you fail him? He goes, yes. I'm like, good for you. I go, did he graduate? He goes, yes. I'm like, how? Like, again, if we're lowering the bar just to make ourselves look good so we can get the graduation, we're failing the kids.
So I was talking to somebody on the education committee today, and they said something. I haven't been able to fact check it. Maybe you can tell me if this is true or not. But so ed techs make $15, $16 an hour, and then the school bills main care $150 an hour for that ed tech. Is that true?
I haven't heard the ed tech salary. Definitely sounds like it's in the right range. I have not heard the other piece, but that would be interesting. Yeah. I would tend to believe it.
Just one comment, and it's not a blanket thing, but there's an awful lot of indoctrination that goes on,
Yes.
not teaching,
Yes.
indoctrination, and somehow that's got to stop. That those individuals, if that's what they're doing, they need to lose a license, not ever be allowed to step into a classroom again, because these young, impressionable, I think that's where all this sex change stuff is coming
Yes.
from, and all that stuff. We're just giving those people free range, and it's just destroying our children.
100%. I like to say we're teaching them the wrong alphabet. We're teaching them DEI, CRT, SEL, and we need to get, yes, exactly. We need to get back to the fundamentals and the basics of education. Absolutely.
Going with the education, with the English second language is really taking up so much time for a lot of the teachers that they can't spend time with the kids that do want to learn. What can we do about that? I mean, when you've got, I don't know, she can probably tell me better, but like 153 different languages that we have to come up with for these students. And what can we do about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's.
Ice can come.
Well, that's part of it, right? And that's
Sorry.
not all of it, but it is absolutely part of it. We do need to, again, I already mentioned it once. We need to make sure that everybody who is here legally, and that will help that,
Yes.
right? We will still have that problem because we'll have to figure it out because some of them are here legally, but I think it's going to be much less of a problem. And again, that is fairly concentrated within Portland and Lewiston at this moment, right? And so I think maybe we would need to do something locally to figure that out and fix it. But we have to come up with a solution where the rest of the students can learn. I've heard stories as I've been in and around Lewiston of like your normal English speaking students are left behind because they're taking 99% of their time trying to help the ones who don't speak English. So ultimately that lends itself to a whole nother problem in the fact that right now we are not even interested in getting them to assimilate and to mix with our culture and become Americans. And we have to make that our goal, right? So.
Any other questions?
Any other?
So I had the opportunity to talk with Rob Wessels on my podcast. If you guys want to check it out, YouTube, I'll post the link again up on Facelooker. And you can check it out. It was a great conversation. And I usually don't talk policies, but they come up because that's first and foremost in both of our minds. But it's a good opportunity to get to know somebody on other things. What do you do for fun? What are your hobbies? You learn a lot about both of us, quite honestly. So check it out. It's interesting. Anything else, Russ?
It was really fun. I will say one of the things that I've been really focused on, and Janet can attest to this, is we need our next governor to and gubernatorial candidate in the general to come alongside and to raise the whole boat, right? We need them to, as I've worked with probably 20 to 21 different candidates around the state. From city board to school board, different things like that in my 2.5 years, and just saying, hey, let me go door to door with you or for you, give me your palm cards and we'll hit it and get as many doors as we can. But we need our next, the person in the general and our next governor to come alongside and help. Because again, if I win governor, but we don't have the House and the Senate, I mean, yeah, I'll be doing a lot of vetoing, but a lot of what we want to do is just not going to happen. And so that's why we've been going around trying to get House candidates, trying to get Senate candidates, trying to flip seats and make some seats stronger, and just working together. We need somebody who will unify everybody. We're Republicans. We love silos. We have silos all over the state, and I've talked to some. They're like, yeah, don't come over here and play. Like just I'm like. All right, like, let's go. Come on. We're all in this together. And so that's my goal. That's what I'm doing. And so I love all the conversation that you guys were having. So
I don't think anybody knocked on as many doors for other candidates,
Right.
as far as governor candidates, than you, Rob.
Right. That's what.
Unbelievable.
That's
Unbelievable.
When I saw that from Janet, that's why I'm like, I'm gonna have him as our next guest speaker.
And thanks for doing that. And I
Yeah.
think that deserves a round of applause
Yeah.
for being a good man.
The way I look at it is we're going to be knocking doors anyway. Might as well, be knocking her doors. So, cool.
We didn't do the 50-50.
Thank you guys.